I just want to sit down and pretend that we are real life homeschool friends and that you are over at my house and we're sitting down and having a cup of coffee together and chatting about what our homeschool routines look like for the fall. All right, so full disclosure, I'm still recovering from what just happened. As soon as I finished filming that intro, my entire tripod fell over and I spilled my coffee all over the floor. So there's real life with the Ralstons for you. Okay, so now that I have that all cleaned up, let's get back to business about homeschool routines. There's been a lot of new subscribers lately, so if you're new around here, my name is Sarah. I am the homeschool mom of 5 kids. They are ages 13, 11, 7, 2.5, and 1. I'm still not over the fact that Ava, my little baby, is 1 year old already. I'm just gonna start saying 12 months. She's 12 months, she's not 1. Anyways, we have been schooling for 9 years now. Just blows my mind. I cannot believe how fast our journey has gone, but it is. We are approaching a decade of homeschooling, and I still don't feel like I know what I'm doing. Do you ever feel like you know what you're doing in homeschool? I don't know. I definitely have more confidence this year, but I still think most of us feel like we're treading water most of the time. So as I mentioned, I have a pretty broad age range of kids that I am homeschooling. My oldest is in 7th grade, and then I have a 6th grader and a 1st grader. Obviously, I'm not doing a whole lot of homeschooling with my toddler and my baby, but as you know, homeschool with toddlers and babies can be really interesting. We have to schedule most of our days around nap times and TV times and things like that. I also want to mention here just what our style of homeschooling is, because I think that has a lot to do with how people tend to form a routine in their homeschool day. We are a unit study style homeschool, and I definitely tend to go more towards a Charlotte Mason feel or vein in our studies. I like to keep things short and focused and to the point, and I like to do a very wide range of subjects, try out a lot of different things, as Charlotte Mason would say, present a broad feast of subject matter to my kids. Okay, so now let's break down what our day in and day out looks like. So the way I have worked this out in our homeschool is that we have rhythms and routines that are based around time blocks. We have 3 blocks of schooling that we try to get done every day. Now, some days maybe we only get 2 of these time blocks done, or maybe only 1. These are just kind of anchor points that go around meal times. So let's just jump in. The first thing we do is our morning block. This takes place before breakfast. Yes, we do school before breakfast. This actually started when we first started homeschooling 9 years ago. I always did our Bible study before we did breakfast. Well, a few years into homeschooling, my oldest child, Noah, was struggling a little bit with math. He just was having a hard time getting through it. It was the worst part of our homeschool day. And like most boys, Noah is still to this day very highly motivated by food. So I thought, well, let's move math before breakfast. It will give us both motivation to get it done so that we can have our breakfast, and then the worst part of our day, the part that we were dreading, we already have done. And this worked really well. We felt like we were being very productive before we even got to breakfast. And this is just kind of caught on. And so as the years have moved on, I have kind of interwoven different subjects into our before breakfast time. Currently, our list is a little bit long. This is really the time of day where my kids are the most productive and the most independent. So here's what we cover in our morning block right now. So the first thing everybody does is Bible. My 6th and 7th graders are both doing a Bible study called Meeting with Jesus, and my 1st grader Mariah is working through a book called My ABC Bible Verses. After that, they will all spend a little bit of time doing some journaling. They will write down prayer requests or things that they're thankful for, maybe copy a Bible verse or 2, just doing a little bit of personal writing in a journal. The next subject they will cover is math, and all of my kids use Matthew C, and they are all able to do this pretty independently. be. They will need my help when they are introducing a new lesson, but every other day of the week, they're able to do most of the worksheets on their own as long as I'm around to answer a question if need be. The last thing that is on our morning block schedule is spelling. Now, my first grader right now, this is not for her. This is just for my 6th and 7th grader, and both of them are using spelling UC. And this is a subject that I've talked about in reviews before. It is a subject where you as mama, as the teacher, do need to be present and around. So I make sure that I am around when they're working on their spelling UC. The kids are done with all of this in less than an hour. After everyone finishes their morning block of school, we all get together and eat breakfast together as a family. And this is a time when I like to try to read aloud to all of the kids. I always have a chapter book that I am reading aloud to the kids, and I'm able to do this at breakfast time normally for about 20 minutes. I'm able to get 1 or 2 chapters in depending on the book, and this is a time of day where I just have to be a little bit flexible and be okay with interruptions. One of the babies will cry, somebody will spill their milk, someone will need to get up and get refills of cereal. It's very informal, very laid back, and I just read to the kids the best I can for about 20 minutes. The other thing that we do during breakfast is we discuss our Bible studies. Noah and Leah will tell us about what they were learning about in their Bible study. Mariah and I will talk about what we read in her Bible study, and I'll share with them what I'm doing on my own study or what my husband's learning about. This is just a really great time of family discussion and just a really enjoyable part of our day. After breakfast, this is kind of the time of day where we are able to get our most focused school done with the least amount of interruptions. And so this is what we call our group time block of the day. During group time, I have 3 subjects that I try to hit every single time. First of all, we do morning basket. Our morning basket is constantly changing, as I'm sure yours is, but currently I have 3 items in my morning basket that we try to do every day. First of all, we do memory work. Each of my kids is working on a different item of memory work. For instance, my first grader, Mariah, is working on some calendar memory work. She's trying to memorize the days of the week, the months of the year, things like that. She's also trying to memorize the Pledge of Allegiance, and so we might go through as a group and recite that. My older kids are working on refreshing their memories of states and capitals, so we'll spend a few minutes quizzing states and capitals with a map. All in all, memory work only takes us about 5 minutes. The next item in our morning basket is grammar. As I've mentioned in previous videos, we do grammar as an oral subject together as a group. I use a couple of books just to guide it, and I will just kind of come up with my own lessons on the fly, and I will just teach different parts of speech and use different sentences as examples and to diagram with the kids on our whiteboard. We only spend 5 minutes or less on grammar every single morning. The last item in our morning basket is just kind of a fun item. I have several books and activities in there that we just kind of loop through, or I will pick whichever one I'm in the mood to do that day. Sometimes it will be reading a passage out of bedtime math. Maybe it will be doing an art study, and I will pick out my art book and we'll just do a picture study of a famous piece of art. Sometimes we'll do a hymn study and we will listen to a hymn and talk about the lyrics. It's constantly changing, and maybe sometime I will do a video devoted to what we do in our morning basket, but I think you guys get the idea. We spend no more than 15 to 20 minutes on our morning time, on our morning basket, and then we are moving on to the next subject. The next item in our group time is gather round. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking to you about how we do gather round, because just a few weeks ago, I posted a video about a day in the life of gather round in our homeschool. And so I'll make sure to link that below and up in the cards. So my first grader, Mariah, always finishes her gather round notebook before my older 6th and 7th graders do. And so she always has about 15 or 20 minutes left in our group time block while the older kids are still finishing up their work. And so this is a great opportunity for her and I to sit down and do Happy Cheetah. Happy Cheetah is the curriculum that she is using for language arts this year. It covers reading, phonics, handwriting, spelling, everything language arts that you need all in one curriculum. And the beauty of it is it really only takes 20 minutes a day. So her and I will sit down and spend 20 minutes going through and doing her Happy Cheetah. And by that time, Noah and Leah are finished with their gather round, and that is the end of our group time block. And now it's time to move into what we call recess and lunch. All of my kids will take a nice long break. They will go outside and play or go down in the basement and, do a board game or a puzzle, play with some toys, whatever it is they want to do. After that, it's lunchtime and everybody gathers around the kitchen table to have lunch together. So this is our rabbit trail time for Gather Round. I will pull up YouTube videos on our TV and let all of the kids watch a couple of videos related to the content that we studied in our Gather Round unit that morning. After lunch, my toddler and my baby come into the living room and they are able to watch TV. I mean, that's just real life. I use TV for my little ones in order to get a little bit more school done with my older ones. So they will sit down and watch Daniel Tiger or Word World or something like that, Mickey Mouse. And I will take my older kids into our schoolroom and do one last block of school. And now this last block of school lasts at the most an hour. It is very quick, very focused, and we just really try to plow through pretty quickly because at this point we're all getting tired. The last block is called our afternoon block, and I have 2 items that I like to get through. Number 1 is our looping basket, and number 2 is IEW for my 6th and 7th grader. So let me talk about our looping basket first. The 3 subjects that I currently have in our looping basket are government. We're doing the Gather Round mini unit of U.S. government. And then we have Spanish, which is Song School Spanish from Classical Academic Press. And then the third one is Mama's Choice. I normally try to pick some type of fun activity or item that I've been wanting us to get to in our homeschool, and we will do that as our subject. So for example, maybe we'll do a poetry tea time. Maybe I'll send the kids outside and have them do nature journals. Maybe we'll do a fun science experiment or craft to go along with what we've been studying and Gather Round. Honestly, I just have a kind of a running list of fun things that I want to get to in our homeschool, and so I will just rotate those through on that looping schedule. So if you're not familiar with a loop, how this works is, let's say Monday we do government, Tuesday we do Spanish, Wednesday we do that fun item of Mama's Choice, and then on Thursday we go back through and we do government again. Friday we would move on to Spanish, and then when you come back to Monday, you're starting with that fun item of Mama's Choice, and it just continues to loop. Normally our looping subject takes us about 30 minutes and then we're moving on. At this point, Mariah, my 1st grader, is done with school for the day, and I just have one last subject to finish up with my 6th and 7th graders, and that is IEW. This year they chose to do Following Narnia from Institute in Excellence in Writing, and this is something that they're able to do almost completely independently. So every day the last subject they will work on is IEW. Some days they have to do some reading in a Narnia book. Other days they're having to write a paper about a subject in Narnia. It just depends. But they spend about 30 minutes every single afternoon working on their IEW. And that is it. That's our entire school day. We have a morning block, a group time block, and then that afternoon block. Now, there are some things that are a little bit school related that we do outside of those time blocks. After school, when my babies go down for naps, everybody tends to have reading time or quiet time and works on reading a chapter book. My kids practice piano in the evenings. And then a lot of times in the evenings or on the weekends, we will watch a documentary or some type of video that pairs along with something we're studying in school. And that is really honestly the beauty of a block schedule. Sometimes Sometimes we'll have a morning where everybody's tired and they sleep in and we skip our morning time block. Maybe one day we're all feeling burnt out by lunchtime and so we skip our afternoon block. This block schedule of time just gives us a framework, gives us anchors in our day where we're able to try to accomplish certain subjects and keeps us productive and moving forward, little by little progress. Okay, so I am filming this during the afternoon, during my baby's naps, and both of them are both starting to wake up, so I'm going to have to wrap this up. But if you like this kind of content, please give this video a thumbs up, like it below, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our channel. And while you're at it, leave me a comment. If you have any questions or thoughts or ideas, leave them down below. I make sure to respond to every comment here on our YouTube channel. I hope that your homeschool year is off to a great start. See you later.